Hey Austinites, did you know that plastic bags and styrofoam cannot be recycled in your blue cart or dumpster, and they can damage recycling equipment, injure workers, and end up in landfills? Now, the good news is that there are easy ways to recycle these items correctly right here in Austin. And recycling the right way just means the material will be used again and won't end up in landfills. Visit austintexas.gov/recycling or download the Austin Recycle app to learn more and connect to your local recycling options. If you own a rental property in Austin, listen up. Being a landlord can feel like a second job, except the meetings are maintenance requests and they usually happen on Saturday morning. Put your rentals on autopilot with TurboTenant. TurboTenant helps you find and place a qualified tenant by handling the listings, showings, and screening. So all you have to do is review and approve the applicant, and you don't pay anything until a tenant is placed. Once your tenant is in place, TurboTenant can also handle rent collection, maintenance coordination, and the day-to-day management. Learn more at turbotenant.com/citycast.
Today on CityCast Austin, downtown is going to be radically different for the next week as South by Southwest takes over. With the absence of the convention center this year, things are especially spread out. So what's South by going to even look like this year? Is it worth it if you don't have a badge? And as Austinites, what's in it for us? It's Thursday, March 12th. I'm Eva Ruth Moravec in for Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I'm here with Alex Casolero, the Director of Credentialed Sales for South by Southwest. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
We've also got Wesley Lucas, who is the Director of Communications for Visit Austin. Hi, Wesley.
Hi, y'all. Good to be here.
So ready to get into the festival season. We are here, and some people may remember listening that the first South by Southwest happened 40 years ago, and it was music-focused, had 700 registrants, and 150 performances. Last year, obviously, we have grown quite a bit. There was music, innovation, TV, movies, EDU, other tracks as well. 250,000 attendees cumulatively. So my question for both of you to start us off today, did South by Southwest get too big for Austin?
No, I think the relationship has been symbiotic between South by and Austin, right? I think South by has grown up alongside the city. And I think it will continue to do so, which is really exciting. I mean, it's hard to believe South by has been around for 40 years. Longer than I've been around. And it started as this small, as you know, and you just mentioned, this small sort of creative gathering for, music folks here in Austin, and to shine a spotlight on them. And it has grown into this, crazy immersive conference and festival spanning multiple days in all these amazing industries. But I think as Austin has evolved, so has South by, and I'm excited to see that continue.
What do you think, Wesley?
Alex put it perfectly. I think if you look at, trends of the city's growth and evolutions and changes in industries, South by was having those changes at the same time, and looking ahead to the future with a new convention center, with an expanded airport, a future light rail. I mean, I think South by is just going to be alongside us the whole way.
I wanted to ask y'all specifically about this because whenever we get to South by season, there's this question about who is it for? You can kind of exist in Austin without interacting with the festival at all during South by. And I was looking at the attendee report that South by put out for last year, and I was surprised that 38% of attendees actually came from Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. So kind of like within driving distance is what I was thinking. So I'm curious, when y'all are thinking about the programming and organizing and all of that, who are you thinking about as the target audience for South by this year? And is that different from previous years?
Yeah, I think that's a really relevant question, especially for my role at South by, because overseeing all of our efforts around our badge sales, it's really important to understand who we're targeting, right? And who each portion of the festival and conference really is for. We want to ensure that people really feel like they have a place at South by, whether they're driving from Arkansas or flying from Japan or Australia, that they're really getting the maximum value. And I think being in great partnership with Visit Austin is also like, what is that Austin experience too, right? Like what are the restaurants we're sending them to? How are we showcasing Austin in the city as well? So it's really that full package and that full experience. But I think it has been really interesting to see how South by sort of transformed who it's for, right? And I think you can see that, at a high level perspective, just through the lens of we have a music conference and festival, right? And there's portions of that are catered to folks in the music industry. But then obviously people who are just music lovers and want to be down on 6th Street and in the Red River Cultural District, just taking in all of the hundreds of amazing showcases and, artists from around the globe that are coming here and performing. And then same with the film and the creative community that we bring in with the film conference and festival. And I think the place where our audience has really ebbed and flowed, I'd say, over the past few years is on the innovation and sort of the former interactive side of things, where I think this year we made a really concerted effort to be really strategic and intentional with sort of how we were programming and breaking up the tracks that we were highlighting within the innovation conference, right? I think something that we heard from our attendees was, hey, there's so much amazing content at South by. Like, it's amazing, but it's overwhelming. There's so much, right? How can we sort of better serve our audience and say, hey, here's like the 10 sort of broader topics that we know really resonate with our audience and with our attendees, right? We know folks from the brand and marketing world really show up at South by because we see all the cool brands show up and activate and take over the city, right? So let's really hone in on that and showcase that in a big way and program a big track around that. And that's just one example. And I think a few more tracks this year, like tech and AI and startups and things like that, are areas that we're really focused on. And that's hopefully attracting who South by is for.
So is that allowing people to like engage on a smaller level? Like, I mean, because part of the overwhelming part of the festival, I think, is just like the length of time and like, okay, I have to get a badge. I'm going to have to be there for X amount of days. But then there's like going for free and just kind of like bopping in. So is there a way, like by breaking things up more in these tracks, does that allow for people to engage on these like, I've just got an afternoon, I want to go check out what's going on downtown?
I think that's definitely the intent this year, right? Is just also providing better resources and organization for folks to really maximize and optimize their time here. So that if they do have a badge, and to your point, if they're only in Austin for 3 days, how are they really going to maximize their 3 days at the festival, right? We really equipped our attendees this year with a lot of tools, with tweaks to our schedule and recommendations and options like that to really ensure that they can find that content easily, find those networking opportunities so they're also meeting the right people and making those connections. So yeah, that's definitely the hope this year with a lot of the new things that we've rolled out.
And Wesley, I'm wondering if you might weigh in on like how this messaging has gone with Austinites. Is there interest from Austinites to get more engaged this year in the festival and more opportunities with it being also more spread out,
I think so. What I'm hearing from locals that are certainly they appreciated the marketing creative this year. It's very Austin centric. And so I think anytime you can give some love to Austin, Austinites love that. So I think that was certainly a plus. But yeah, that decentralized model, that more spread out, does allow a little more flexibility. And so I think that there's a great opportunity for Austinites to take advantage of, getting out and experiencing the sessions and, taking advantage of some of the free shows that you can pop into too.
I'm thinking about the money that comes in from somebody who's traveling to come to South by versus an Austinite. An Austinite isn't staying in a hotel. They're not flying in. They're maybe not eating out even as much as somebody from out of town. How do you weigh those two potential attendees? Like, who would y'all rather have at South by? Somebody from out of town or somebody from Austin?
Oh, everyone.
All of the above.
The amazing thing about South by, and the thing that I've been like a fangirl about South by about for many, many years, and what I think is such a differentiating factor about South by is like the convergence of all of these industries. One, two, also the convergence of people from around the globe converging into a city like Austin at the same time. And I think, at one point, I think we were talking internally too, it's like, it's almost like the 7 days that you spend at South by is almost like what you would get attending like 10 different conferences throughout the year, right? Because I think just the sheer amount of also content, right? But I think understanding the sheer amount of attendees that are flying from all around the globe. I mean, you'll walk downtown, you'll go check out Rainy Street. Like, even if you are just a local and you don't have a badge and you're strolling around town, like the houses that you'll see, the activations that you see, the brands you'll see, the international delegations that you'll see, like it's absolutely incredible. Like it genuinely gives me goosebumps every time I have the opportunity to just walk around and to see. And half the stuff I don't even know is happening because there's just so much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a Czech house this year. There's an Australia, like, right? And you're like, wow, like, and so I think it's the convergence of not only like the industries, but then also, of course, like the international attendance and that all happening at one given time. So I think to answer your question, it's like everyone is welcome at South by always. And I think it's like the convergence piece that makes the experience so special.
I like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We want Austinites to attend and support South by, because if they don't, it's, we don't see it as an Austin event. Like, they want to feel pride that this event is successful and that they feel that they are welcomed there. So certainly we want Austinites to see it. We also see the fact that tourism supports the local economy, which puts money back in the dollars of Austinites. So certainly welcoming visitors from across the globe to stay in our hotels, to eat in our restaurants. So those things full circle go back into Austinites and support the local community. So certainly everyone is welcome, and we invite everyone to come out and enjoy the festival.
Hey y'all, it's Eva Ruth. Austin news has really been keeping me busy lately, but the one thing that's helped me keep my cool is my Doer jeans. I'm not kidding. They're comfortable enough to sit on the floor of a packed press conference, and they look polished enough to meet up for dinner downtown when the work is done. They're truly high-quality denim. Plus, these jeans are antimicrobial, and they're made from these Coolmax fibers that help regulate your temperature, literally keeping you cool. Doer's denim and lifestyle apparel is made for us to move freely without sacrificing comfort or style. So if you don't have your own pair of Doers yet, now is the time. Check out shopdoer.com/CCAustin and you'll get 15% off of your first order. That's shopduer.com/CCAustin.
Hey y'all, so you may have noticed it's warming up outside, and pretty soon it'll be time to run the AC. And if you're like me, you are not looking forward to that summertime energy bill. Well, why not start thinking about how to make your home more energy efficient right now? Window Nation can replace your old or builder-grade windows with custom-built, high-quality windows at a great price. And right now, the more you buy, the more savings you can enjoy, like up to 50% off all window styles. And in case you've forgotten, they have over 1,500 styles and colors to choose from. And if 50% is just not enough to convince you, they have finance options, including $0 down and payments as little as $199 a month. Window Nation has a 96% customer satisfaction rating, and there's a lifetime warranty on all of their windows. So you can relax knowing your home is protected far into the future. So schedule a fast, free estimate now at windownation.com.
Hi, I'm David Plotz. I'm the CEO of CityCast, a podcast network that includes this show you're listening to, and also 12 other CityCasts in 12 other cities. And each one knows their city as well as your local team knows yours. So isn't it time we connected them? Don't you want to know how they're tackling their bike lane problems and housing challenges and sidewalk dog poop crises? That's why I'm hosting a new podcast called Your City Could Be Better. Because it could be. Every week, I'll chat with a different host in our CityCast network about what their cities are doing right and wrong, the weird things they're trying, and the surprising successes, so that we can all learn how to make our cities a little bit better. Listen to Your City Could Be Better on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
One huge thing that's on people's minds after the West 6th Street shooting is downtown safety. Now, we recorded this conversation before the shooting, but afterwards, South by released a statement about what they're doing in response. We have planned, coordinated, and trained with local, state, and federal agencies to support a safe and secure event for all who attend. In coordination with our public safety partners, we continuously monitor developments and adjust as appropriate to help ensure the well-being of our community. The statement continued, we are committed to hosting this year's event with the care and commitment this moment calls for. We look forward to seeing you in Austin. And another thing that's on people's minds, of course, is the lack of the convention center this year. You know, it's a giant hole. It cannot come back right now. There will be no expos held there. So, and also the timeline being changed so that all of the major 3 festivals are kind of happening at one point. So I wanted to hear from y'all a little bit about how this clubhouse model will work and what will be different. Like in my mind, you know, without having one central place where all these major things are happening, it's going to create a lot more movement downtown. Like I just feel like people are going to be just like bopping around all over the place. And so there might be just a different energy to it. But tell me about, like, Alex, these 3 clubhouses and how those will function and how that's different this year than previous years.
Yes, very excited about the clubhouses. We've been talking about them for a while. And I think, obviously, we've known for a very long time about the convention center going down. We have amazing partners in Austin and, of course, with our friends here at Visit Austin. The move also to sort of condense from 10 days to 7 days has been in consideration for quite a while. Like, there's lots of pre-planning and logistical and operational conversations that have been going on. And, we've been working on this for a while.
Can I ask why, like where that push came from? I'm just curious.
The condensing?
Mm-hmm.
I think, quite frankly speaking, I think from an attendee standpoint, and kind of back to my point earlier, I think one of the things that we were hearing was, 10 days of an event is long for anyone. There's a ton of content, and it's hard for people to put that level of investment. Obviously, if you're traveling on behalf of a business or behalf of a company, but to also be away from work or home for that long. And I think we really wanted to ensure, again, like I keep using the word intentional, but I think that we wanted to make sure that we were being really intentional with people's time and the investment that they were making when they were here, right? And really ensuring that, hey, we aren't seeing that, most folks can stay in Austin for 10 days, right? So how do we really ensure that we're maximizing the time that they are here? And I think a lot of it also had to do with just, at one point too, there were some limiting factors just from an infrastructure and hotel standpoint as well. Now that's no longer an issue, but, it was something that was in the works, I think, for a while. But the clubhouses are really, really exciting. So we're obviously leaning in heavy on 3 awesome local venues, Brazos Hall, 800 Congress, and the Downright Hotel. And each clubhouse is mapped to music, film, and innovation. So if you're, each of that specific badge type, that's sort of going to be like your mini convention center, right? Like that's going to be your place where you're going to find your people. You're going to have access. You're going to be able to go hang out. You're going to be able to network. You're going to be able to grab a drink, sit down. There's going to be tons of cool activations going on in there. There's going to be really cool South by branding. I think for the first time ever, it's kind of also going to be like South by branded activations, right? We've been seeing some of the renderings and stuff. Like it's really, really, really going to be cool. The convention center did serve that sort of anchor and kind of serve as that hub for folks to just kind of hang out in between sessions or go and just like grab a coffee or take a break for 15 minutes from walking around town, right? So we knew that we had to serve them in that capacity, but I think that we've really done a cool job at also making these feel like South by experiences, like, right? Something that you're actually going to feel like you're at South by when you're in that space. So we're really excited about how they're turning out, and we think they're gonna serve a lot of value for their attendees.
When you said, I forget how you phrased it, but when you said that they're like connected to those specific tracks, does that mean that those clubhouses are near the other things going on for music? What's that going to look like? Because the clubhouse is just for these kind of auxiliary, networking, other things. Where are the official things taking place?
Yes. So we're kind of dubbing these areas like neighborhoods, right? So downtown Austin's like South by's creative village, right? And
Ooh.
we have 3 neighborhoods now, sort of like the music neighborhood, the film neighborhood, and the innovation neighborhood. And each is mapped to that specific badge type. So we really wanted to also be thoughtful for folks because, hey, if you have an innovation badge type, we don't want you spending all day walking across town, being exhausted. We wanted to be really, really strategic about where we were sending you and programming
We only
everything.
have so many scooters in this town.
Exactly. Programming everything that, your badge got you into. So everything that's sort of specific to innovation will be near the Brazos Hall area, near the Hilton, JW Marriott, down in that area. And that clubhouse will obviously sort of serve as that anchor point for innovation badge holders. And then the Downright Hotel is going to serve as sort of the anchor and the hub for all things music. So music fest and conference goers. And that obviously makes a ton of sense because it's kind of right around the corner from all things Red River Cultural District, where all of our amazing local music venues will be. So folks who are partaking in all of the amazing live music and showcases can hang out over there and then go hang out at the Downright. And there'll be a ton of cool stuff going on over there, as well as some free music events that folks and locals can pop into at the Downright. And then all of our film activity, not surprising, will be over near the Paramount. So we'll have some additional really exciting street closures this year.
Ooh.
I keep saying South by this year is just going to feel like a true festival. People are going to be spilling out into the streets. It's going to feel really exciting. Like you mentioned, it's going to be a lot more mobile. People are going to be moving a little bit more. The energy, I think, is really going to be palpable. People are going to be moving around the city in a different way because things are just going to be in new places, and we're really going to be leveraging the hotels and all of the venues in new capacities. But I think it's going to make for this amazing fluidity and energy in the streets.
Will Congress be one of the new closures, or what are the closures going to be?
So we'll have a few extra blocks of Congress closed this year, and we'll have what we're dubbing the Congress Avenue Block Party, which will actually serve as sort of our new registrant lounge. But something else that's really cool for locals is that'll be a free and open to the public area as well. So if you don't even have a badge and you just want to kind of be in the mix of South by, go over to Congress Avenue and check out what's going on. I think no matter what day or time during South by, there will be some fun activity and you'll be able to be a part of it.
Nice. Wesley, anything you want to add on the venue kind of side of things?
Yeah, no, I just think, just like Alex said, this year and the next few years with the closure of the convention center provides a unique opportunity to see the event differently. South by existed before the convention center existed. So they've done this before. They got bigger and they needed an anchor headquarters spot, and the convention center served that purpose until it didn't anymore. It was an older building. It was time to find a bigger space, much more sustainable space. And so come 2029, we're going to have a brand new building, and the first event in it is set to be South by. So it'll be a really great opportunity for the festival to, evolve. We've talked about evolution and progress, and the festival will evolve into what it can be in that new space.
Okay, well, since we're on this thread, what if this year is very successful with this new, logistical model of the clubhouses and stuff? Will that maybe be evidence that we don't need a new convention center, or that South by doesn't need a convention center?
It's a good question. I don't think so. I think no matter what, to Wesley's point, South by didn't have the convention center for the first few years. I think this sort of deconstructed campus style distributed model is in the DNA of South by and always will be. I think everyone was sort of what will they do without the convention center? And it's what we've always done, right? Take over downtown Austin and lean into the local venues and the amazing local partners that have supported us from day one. Work with, entities like Visit Austin and get through it. And I think we're super excited for the new convention center to come back. I mean, if you've seen any of those renderings, wow. And I think, to Wesley's point, how are we going to evolve and utilize it and all that amazing outdoor space? I mean, I already have fun ideas in my head of just thinking about what we could do differently, how our expos could show up in new ways. And I think it's going to be really cool for us to bring new and fresh ideas to some of our partners, right? I just think it's what's the combined version look like, in this new space, right? The deconstructed campus style, take over the city, plus, the new layout of the convention center.
It seems like a lot of pivoting for hotels, venues, Like, and I don't know how you could like get used to this model and then something else happens 5 years later. Maybe that's just the model of South by, like that it's not the same, 5 years down the road. But we've been talking about venues too. One thing that I've loved watching going to South by over the years is how a place can be, the Dubai Center and there's amazing AI art around you. And then within a few days, it changes and completely transforms to something else. So I'm curious about with this condensed timeline and everything happening at the same time, will there be as much like churn on venues in that way? Or is it more spread out? So they're like, taking over more spaces overall? How's that working?
I actually think the sentiment that I've heard, and again, this is not fully my wheelhouse, so I don't want to misspeak, but is that the venues, I think, actually seem really excited about the sort of condensed days. I think to your earlier point, just about sort of like the churn and having, what that does to staff and labor and like having to, redo a whole venue and flip things over for someone new. I think there's, a lot of, potential pressure that comes with that. So I think folks are really welcoming that and I think really happy about that right now. And I think the general sentiment has been really positive around the condensed footprint from a venue perspective. I don't know if, Wesley, you've heard otherwise, but at least that's what I've been hearing internally over here.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing mostly from hotels is, March, just remove South by from March, right? March is springtime in Austin. It's such an awesome time. Our meetings and conventions and event partners, they want to host their event here. And because South by was so long, it was harder to find those dates. And so now that it's condensed, that frees up a few extra dates for some of our hotels and venues to host non-South by events, pre or post South by. So I think that is certainly appreciated. I just echo back to Alex's point, though. It's 10 days is a lot. And so to have it a little bit more condensed, I think it makes it a lot easier for these corporate partners to be able to come in. A lot of times you'd see someone come in for just a couple of days and then they leave. And so now maybe they have the opportunity to either stay the whole time or stay a little bit longer than they did before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think the budgets are going further.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, the condensed timeline, if y'all think that is going to be the model going forward. I guess, Alex, that's the question for you. Are we looking at 7 days as the future?
It's hard to say, right? I think this has been the year of change. And I think nothing is for sure. I think we're going to learn a lot this year, right? That's kind of what I keep saying. I'm really excited. I'm someone who actually loves change and kind of thrives under it, as stressful as it can be. When I heard the convention center was going down, and pretty much my first real year at South by was going to be this year of navigating that and having to sell people on coming and buying a badge still and investing in the experience. I was like, wow, I've got my work cut out for me. But it's been incredible, right? And I think it's been amazing to just see the camaraderie and the collaboration between the city and all these, partners here locally. I'm just so excited to see how it all comes together this year, and we'll learn from it and continue to do what's best for our attendees and for the city, right? So I think we'll probably stay the same, but nothing is for sure.
And as far as the economic impact that we're looking at, I know you can't predict how this is going to go, but do we think that it's going to be consistent with last year, and also what was last year's economic impact?
Yeah. I think this year there's so much unpredictability, right? I think we went on sale 2 months later than we normally do. The convention center's gone. We have a condensed footprint. There's, it's 3 less days, right? And I think, Wesley might have some insight too, just of what there might be seeing on the hotel front and with all those changes, right? Because there's things even just outside of the orbit at South by that I'm seeing that are going to be impacted by this. So I think it's hard to say. But last year, we saw an economic impact around $400 million, which was in line with the previous few years before that. So I think that we're obviously always anticipating and hoping to keep things steady year over year.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say on the hotel side, we're hearing from some hotels that they are sold out. We're hearing from venues they are booked up. Reservations are booked up. We're hearing from some it's a little bit on par with last year. Some feel like it might be a little bit slower, but they're okay with that. So it's just a mix. Like Alex said, this is going to be a test year, I guess, if you will, a pivot year. We're going to go back to, what we were all saying in 2020. I think, with the challenge of the convention center closure, it was an opportunity for us to change that, right? To take that challenge, turn it into an opportunity, and make it unique, make it Austin. And I think that we've done that. I think South by's done a great job of doing that. And I think it'll be a fun year. Last year's numbers were up over 2024. So that's a positive. So if we're, continuing that trend, 2024 was kind of like the bucket list year. That was like the YOLO year for everyone. So the fact that 2025 was up over 24 is good. We always look at events like this as, yes, it's folks staying in hotels. That's great. It's folks coming in and out of the airport. That's great. But it's really about our restaurants seeing business, these local bars, nightlife, our music venues. And then I also think about like all the jobs that are created, that are these folks that are, building things up and then tearing them down, and the vendors that, run the shuttles, or, our Uber drivers. Like, don't forget them. They're really important to our economy too. And then, of course, our musicians. Like on the Visit Austin page, we have a whole list of all the Austin musicians that have showcases and shows during South by. And what a great opportunity for them to get to play in their home city, on their home stage, in the spotlight. And so I think it's just, you look at it more from just, the dollars that are made.
Yeah.
I think it's more so than that, for sure.
Right. And I mean, it's hard to, I would imagine, calculate the economic impact when like you have so many things that aren't official South by, but it's still, they're capitalizing on this time and the concentration of people, and they're free, or they're, badgeless or whatever. What are y'all most looking forward to? Like, what's the one activation that you're just super jazzed about, or the performance or speaker or whatever?
I love the AI stuff. I always love the panel conversations. Lola Young's going to be here. I definitely want to see her on stage, all the Austin artists. But I'm really excited about that block party. I think that's going to be super fun. I think the fact that it's going to be open for anyone is going to be great. But for me, my favorite part of South by is between the sessions that I'm going to, or between the shows, I find cool things on my way that I didn't know about. And I usually pop into those, and, I find a musician that I start following, or an artist. And so those are always the pop-up things that I don't plan for that are my favorite part.
Nice.
Yeah. That's the best part about South by. Just like the in-between unplanned, spontaneous sort of like moments. I think for me, it really is. And, it's the payoff for me, right? Like I work so hard, and the team at South by works so hard to put on this incredible experience. And with so many changes this year, I think we're just really eager to get out there. And I think for me, I'm excited to just see people experience. Like, the incredible payoff for me is just seeing people smile when they're walking around South by, or just overhearing someone in the coffee line talking about what they experienced the night before, or just like striking up that random conversation with someone and being like, oh my gosh, like I met someone yesterday that might change my life or change my career, right? And like, of course, all of the programming. I mean, I'm a huge Larry David fan, so I'm kind of geeking out about him being here. And then we do have tons of great local and free events. I know I mentioned a few, but there will be more on those. So I encourage everyone here locally, of course, to take part in those music events, the block party, et cetera.
Yeah. It's hard to pick. I'm definitely using AI to make my schedule. I'm sorry.
Good.
It's happening.
Good idea.
You should. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Can you still volunteer and get a free badge?
Yes.
That's still a thing that's happening? That
is still a thing. Yep. southbysouthwest.com/volunteer. The volunteers are like genuinely the heartbeat of our event. Huge shout out to them. We lean really heavily, obviously, on, UT and a lot of the students here in Austin and in the community. Spring
break.
It's a great, right, aligning with spring break. If you work a set number of hours, you get a free badge. There's different hours that you have to work to get each badge type, but all that information is online. And highly encourage, folks to volunteer. It's a great way to get involved.
Awesome. Well, Alex and Wesley, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all downtown.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links related to South by in our show notes and even more content about the festival on our website, in our newsletter, and on our Instagram page. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our CityCast Austin newsletter. And if you really love us, help support us by becoming a neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.